It's my privilege and pleasure to be taking up this really very interesting session, which is not only linked with a lot of aspects, one of which I will be introducing here. A unique aspect of infrastructure and mobility, which is my focus area and very close to mine. So allow me just a few minutes. So how many of you have heard of a concept called security by design or being secure by design? Is it really that difficult? Okay, let's just go into the subject a little further. But why am I taking this with infrastructure and mobility? Why is security by design so critical to infrastructure and mobility? So I asked you all, you've all traveled, airports, railway stations, yes? How many of you have realized that there is some security, whatever, whether train station, bus station, airport, there is security? Yes? Hands? Agree? Okay. And how many of you think there is a design component there? Hands? Okay, very few. So let's understand, as architects, as designers, as urban planners, as urban designers, do we have a role to play? Or do we only get to complain, oh Delhi तो बहुत ही unsafe है जी, लड़कियां तो बाहर जा नहीं सकती, blah blah and the other. Okay, so question one. It's not going further. So just to get abreast with what is the status. We all know as architects, disasters are an important part of our being. We know there are natural and man-made disasters. We know we deal with, we design our buildings for all of these disasters which are natural. Fire, very important. Can't get a building done unless you know fire. But crime and terror, are these important? Well, we all are living with crime and terror all the time. And today, internationally, especially the UN Habitat has actually expanded the definition of sustainability to include social and economic sustainability, a very important part of which is security. Security forms a backbone of a sustainable economy, and you cannot have socio-economic sustainability without the right amount of thought, just a little thought to security. So typically, most of us architects, me included, till about say 8 years back, used to think that building security is not my subject. There's a security consultant who comes in the end, and he is the one who is going to take care of the cameras, the people, the guards, and of course the devices, right? Is that what is building security? Is it just this? Yes, sir?
The occupants should feel safe.
That is security, alright? Very good, very important point. So is it only superficial? Obviously, as Gurmeet said, it is not superficial. Every occupant of a building should feel secure. The final goal is to feel and be comprehensively secure. Does that mean it needs to be an integral part of a built environment? Like maybe the fences, the gates and boundary walls, and nowadays we see some fancier things like bollards. This is called security by design. And it's not something new. Across the world, across the whole of the developed world, since I was born, keep guessing how far back that was, since I was born, this subject has been followed as security by design, design against crime, design of crime, design insecurity, or Smartex, CPTED. Security for the buildings and security that is built into the design. We all know that's how man started. What was the first reason for architecture, for all buildings to be built? Security. They needed to be shielded against animals first, weather, climate, and then finally other humans. So the principal reason for all architecture originally was mitigation of risks. And then buildings evolved. As the security needs evolved, the buildings evolved, their needs evolved, until it came to 2001. At that point of time, the world saw that a building that was built originally to safeguard people became the cause for mass destruction. The building itself became a weapon of mass destruction. And do you know, research shows that more people die from a failed building and its failed building parts than the actual blast or the actual terror incident. That is what puts the onus on all of us as architects and in the construction industry to build buildings that are resilient. They respond, they reduce, they recover, resist, and are designed in their design and structure and services to withstand and fail to comply with such malicious intent. So that puts the impetus on us to make sure that A, our design should mitigate risks, B, we should be able to resist in case a prevention fails, but thirdly, and probably the most importantly, my research shows that n number of designs actually create new vulnerabilities instead of mitigating them. And that is a crime. So, we've seen, all of us have seen, we've been through these kind of security checks through infrastructure, through mobility, through our airports, train stations, and wherever we go, our public space. But do you realize that these design, these inputs very often have some errors which cannot be made good by any amount of corrections. So, if you were to, does anybody give thought to these, how much space do they need? Do they have ample space? Do they have ample space to operate, service, maintain? Is it the best experiential quality I can offer? Is it at the correct location? And this is what happens when you don't think about that. This is in 1983 in the US Embassy at Lebanon, where the security check being located in the lobby of the building was misused by the miscreants. And we all know this is years, decades ago. And in our country, all around us, it's happening over and over and over, everywhere again. Why? Because we architects are not giving it that due consideration. We are not putting in what is required, and that is what is leading to catastrophe. That is what is leading to security theatrics. And so that's the third part. Fourth part, yes, building security is a necessity. And this is a better way of doing it. There can be innovative solutions, there can be innovative options, which is what we need to explore. So there are passive security ways, there are means to do it. Even if we are all architects and convinced that, what Manjari is talking is making sense, but how do I sell it to my client? How do I see value addition from that? So, I'll give you a small example without going into the case study. This is the World Trade Center, the 1WTC building which has been built to replace the fallen towers. This building, without going into the details, when the facade was coming up, before the facade, to clear the building, the NYPD made some crystal clear directions that this has to have blah blah blah. Three of the things they asked for in the facade was that it needs to be bulletproof, blast resistant glass, but the design was twisting and non-modular. So they had to actually set up a special plant to actually produce all the glass that was required. And this was because security was not considered at the right stage, at the right time. Imagine a building as critical and as vulnerable as the 1WTC, as a result of which the building was completed at a cost of 3.9 billion US dollars, which is the cost in which they could have built 3 to 4 Burj Khalifas. Can you imagine? That is the cost of not giving consideration to security at the right stage. So obviously, you can save on costs, you majorly save on running costs. Now the second very important selling point for this asset. Now, even though this building was completed at this 4 times the cost kind of investment, do you know this is also the costliest piece of real estate, asking for almost twice the rentable areas anywhere else in Manhattan. So as you can see, the rates for Manhattan are approximately 49 to 50 USD, but in this building they are going at 70 to 100. And that people are ready to pay, they are lining up to pay that money because they know that they are in the most secure building on earth, or so they would like to believe. I can tell you and show you that we have better security in a couple of hours. In fact, the doctoral outcome that I had, I made a rating system for buildings, and in that, I'm very happy to share that the one WTC scores about 72 to 74%, while our Akshardham temple in New Delhi scores a 75. Without much ado, silently, quietly, extremely secure by design. So that's my summation for the day, and I'll leave you with these little sparks that I could share. So it's a great concept for public knowledge, it's a good idea for marketing tool, the next big thing probably for builders to capitalize on, and it's a way to cash in on.